Welcome to the very first episode of Sandlot Social Club. My name is Adam. I am your host. The Sandlot season is here, and I don't know about you, but I can't wait to get back on the field. Sandlot baseball, for those listening that don't already know, is a style of baseball that's community-based, inclusive, and focuses on having fun and creating access to the greatest and most beautiful game to ever exist. This podcast will spotlight the people of Sandlot in conversation about the game they play and love. Of course, we'll also take you inside Sandlot. We'll take you to games. We'll take you to practices. I play with the Capital City Cobras. It's my second year returning to the sport. I'm a diehard New York Mets fan. I'm an outfielder. I love tracking down fly balls. I love the sounds of baseball. And I want every episode of this show to feel like baseball. So don't be surprised by the sudden crack of a bat or the shout of a third base coach telling you to head home. Anyhow, let's get right into it. Our first episode is really great. I chatted with Seth Kessler, Skip, longtime manager of the Cobras, about the podcast, being a manager, and his life in Sandlot. For this conversation, our backdrop is Patterson Park on a Sunday morning, where a group of ball players that call themselves the Breakfast Club run practice nearby.
So when I was finishing my degree, I listened to Major League Baseball from East to West Coast, and that's how I wrote every night. So and with the Cardinal game in the middle and ending up with Vince Scully all the time.
Oh, nice.
So that's like how I was starting the East Coast, and then the Cardinals game would start, and then I listened to Mike Shannon, and then I'd listen to Jack Buck. Jack Buck was the old Cardinal thing, but I'd listen to Vince Scully out there at the Dodgers game, and that's how it was like my writing process.
Yeah.
So like the sounds of baseball has just always been like so beautiful to me. So, and what I really realized is the relationship you start having with baseball.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad or ugly.
Yeah.
And I think what Sandlot has done is allowed some people to reconnect with it and, having a different experience than what their final experience was with it. You know what I mean? Those stories and those relationships, I think we're going to hear from a lot of people, and I think there's going to be really like genuine and, cool.
Man at first, one out.
So, like, when you first joined the squad, what surprised you the most?
Like it was a baseball team unlike any other baseball team I'd been on before.
Changed the paradigm a little bit, huh?
Yeah. You mentioned people kind of returning to their desire to play baseball. I guess I didn't really realize what was going on, but I think throughout 2020, 2021, and as I'm sitting at home alone, this urge started to return to me. And I think part of it was the solitude, probably in a sense,
Yeah.
I need to get out of here. I want to be outside. And I knew about Sandlot. I hadn't quite become aware that there had been so many new teams that had kind of like formed over the years. I knew about the Jardineros, y'all, and Playboys and some of the earlier teams, but I kind of, it seemed to happen like over the course of 2020. I was like, oh, there's a team in South Austin, and then there's the Senators, and then there's this other, these other teams playing, and I was like, oh shit, like there are a lot more teams now than there were 10 years ago.
Yeah, so that's funny. Like, so like I said, like everybody's like, and that's kind of how it happens, right? You see it, and then you're thinking like, I could do that. And it was weird in Austin. So we were the third team, and we started in 2014, right? So we're now in our 8th year or something crazy.
Yeah.
And like at that time, there was just the Jardineros and Playboys. And then like a couple years after that, 3 more teams show up, form. And then we got up to hell where we're at now, in the teens, which, as we always want to, believe in, like inclusive baseball, regardless of, gender, skill, history with the game or whatever, like you want to play baseball and you're not a dick. Let's fucking play some baseball.
Yeah.
Let's just, let's do it.
I feel like everybody has a different game day routine, game day personality. What are you doing on game day?
Well, so first thing in the morning, I usually we use Slack for our communication. So I would always send out some kind of message about how I'm already pumped for the games, like 9 in the morning, like just sending it out, like the squad excited about it, or just like start thinking about it, talking about it. Try to remind them to hydrate a little bit, because we are the team that plays in black and 120 degrees, and start stretching appropriately, and then a big secret is I hit up our catchers and make sure they're going to be at the game, because finding a catcher on the fly is a little difficult.
Yeah, I caught on the fly once.
Yeah. And as the experience is, so always hit up the catchers, and catchers in Sandlot are usually the most flighty guys, so they're the hardest ones to track down, because they're catchers, but they're awesome. So, and we've been really blessed to have really good catchers in our time, and just start doing that, and do a little bit of promotion to our friends and our fans and stuff, and then I make a mock lineup of who's going to be there, and start putting it together, and
game plan,
get the beer ice down, get the water ice down, and then and then I always try to get to the field before the squad. And the best thing about the Cobras is that we show up early and we show up deep at the squad. We warm up.
I'm ready to go in the morning.
Get ready, yeah. So that's been a lot of my game day plans, man. It's just getting stoked to be there and sending out the flyers to different friends and stuff like that. And mainly, and then get to the field early and just get in the dugout and start stretching and throwing, and then see who's showing up and what kind of condition they're in on that Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
But it's good. What about you? You got a game day ritual yet?
So get some calories in there. I try to do the hydrate thing, start drinking the night before, because it just feels better.
Yeah.
And then stretching. I'm a huge stretcher. I think
it's aggressive stretcher.
I'm an aggressive stretcher. Aggressive stretcher. I don't grunt, but
you're good.
I should start.
Right.
I should start grunting while I stretch.
I always bring my jersey on a hanger.
Oh yeah.
I always hang it on the thing because
that's great. Because managers used to get dressed up in suits and stuff. I'm waiting for a Sandlot manager to come around and just be dapper as fuck.
Yeah, right.
In the dugout every game with the suit and tie. Connie Mack style.
Uh-huh.
I think that would be a cool Sandlot personality.
I'll tell you what, give these knees a couple more years and I may put the suit on instead of the jersey.
One of the things I wanted to talk to Seth about was the history of the Austin Sandlot League and the Cobras. So I asked him about that time when these teams were just becoming teams.
I'll never forget the day Will left work, left the grackle to come to practice, and we were just sitting in practice, and he gets there. Will's always late, so Will shows up, we're all just kind of hanging out, and Will goes, "Hey man, this team offered us a game." And we're all just kind of standing there, and they're kind of looking at each other, oh. And then someone in the back, still I don't know who it is to this day, that goes, "Are we a fucking team?" And it was a real watershed moment in Cobra history, and there's a real poignant question. And we kind of looked around and we're like, yeah, we'll take that game. Yeah. And then that's just how we started playing baseball, in game forms. And so we would play the Hard and Arrows, scrimmage the Hard and Arrows, and the Hard and Arrows, these Austin Hard and Arrows were real integral in our early development, and just showing the kind of the brand of baseball they were playing, and we really vibed with that. I really dug it.
They were kind of an inspiration, I guess, of sorts.
And willing to play us too, to play a bunch of guys who were really bad at baseball at the time. We're getting scoring 2 runs while allowing 26.
Yeah.
And so. But they really helped us out quite a bit, we're always grateful for them and the Playboys that play us originally and stuff like that. But one of the good guys on the Hard and Arrows, Steve Hunt, always says if there's a zombie apocalypse, it's Cobras and Hard and Arrows together.
Oh, we got to have a whole conversation about what baseball is like in the zombie apocalypse.
So back then too, there wasn't a ton of players, and so like if people needed people, they would hit the other squads and stuff like that. So when we used to combine with the Hard and Narrows, we would call ourselves like the Yard Snakes and stuff like that.
Nice.
And so it's just like, it's just funny to remember those early days.
One of my favorite games this past season, I played against the Cobras. That was the game I caught.
Yeah.
That was really fun because I got to catch everybody. Everybody on our team was up there in the box, and I got to see them hit. It was really enjoyable. I like that vantage point.
So you looking forward to most this season?
Shit, I'm really looking forward to having the Wednesday routine back. I think that was my favorite part was having that practice midweek. I knew I was going to go do that every week. I live not far from Patterson's. On Wednesdays it's just like, okay, start drinking water, come down. It's hot, it's hot in the summer here. And yeah, that cadence, I don't know, there was something about rediscovering it this past summer. Before giving in to the temptation to join everyone out on the field, Seth and I chatted about what he's up to these days. He recently moved away from Austin, but fortunately for the people in his new home, he hasn't stopped spreading the good word of Sandlot baseball.
Where I'm up in the mountains now, I've been getting some guys out there, and it's just like, it's like real early Cobra days to me, so it's like 7 of us out there, and they're just like trying to convince like this is a thing we could do. You know what I mean? Because they're 45, 40s, and stuff like that, and there's not a huge pool of people out in that small town that want to do it. But there's like, so you just go out there and like have infield and outfield. I'm like, yeah, man, and a couple beers, and they're just like, yeah, I want to do that. And so I got like up to 7 now to come out, and we just do that. And then and I anticipate it growing more and more. And maybe if we ever get 12, we'll scrimmage 4-on-4, brother, all day, every day. And but it's always funny too. Like, so I got a friend out there, and he came out and played catch and just like hit some balls, and he's just like, this has been like the most fun I've had in 12 years. And just like going out there and just like having a catch and hitting some infield and outfield, and then just like catching and throwing, man. Yeah. And it's just like it's always like cool to see people's first time out there and remembering.
Yeah. Getting that. Yeah, it's a sense memory. I think of it as kind of sense memory, like sight, sound, smells, all that stuff.
I totally can see that, and those are the things that like make up the game, right? You know, in addition to the game, everything that's around it. As you say, the sounds of the game are just so wonderful, and like, and just like this, that indistinct chatter in the other dugout, and like the the amount of crazy conversations I've heard in a baseball dugout, just like, what in the world? Yeah. But also, whatever.
That's Seth Kessler, Skip, in a conversation we had at Patterson Park in Austin, Texas. I caught up with him recently. I'd been thinking about the game a lot while putting together this episode. With the Sandlot season about to be underway and professional baseball in crisis, it was hard not to have baseball on the mind. And I wanted to know if Seth had been thinking about the game too.
Oh, yeah, like every day. It gets my juices reinvigorated about what we do, right? Bringing our brand of baseball and bringing the Sandlot world back out to show people that there is an alternative, and I hope that a lot of people start doing that, on more of a local level and more of a level and an engagement level too, when they see like other people out there, they should, people just say like, I can do that. I want to do that. That seems cool. And like, I don't have to do it for the millions. I can just do it for the, like we always talk about, the camaraderie and just the participation and getting back out there. I think I alluded to it before, man, but when you catch it right on the bat, it's the sweetest thing in the world. And when that ball ends up in your glove and you have no idea how it happened and you make the play, I mean, there's some sweetness to that in the world.
I think that's it right there. Baseball for the sake of baseball. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Seth Kessler, for being our first guest. My name's Adam. New episodes of Sandlot Social Club will come out every 2 weeks as long as there's still a Sandlot season. So please subscribe if you want more stories from the world of Sandlot baseball. We're also on Instagram. You can follow at Sandlot Social Podcast to check us out there. And I want to hear from you. Send an email or voice memo to sandlotsocialclub@gmail.com. What's baseball doing on your mind? See you on the diamond.